Hello, my name is Alan, and today I am facilitating the first of a two-shot. Could I ask everyone to mute, please? I'm getting some crickle and crackle. I'm facilitating the first of a two-shot, the first of two shots this month, and some of the players are running across both two shots. Of my PBTA gaming development, Eotenweard. This is a game of Dark Age heroes, given gifts by their gods to protect the innocent from the supernatural, in broad terms. This game was organized as part of the Gauntlet online RPG community's monthly calendar. If you don't know about the Gauntlet, please search Gauntlet-RPG and you will find us. And we'd encourage you to come and play with us, because it's changed my role-playing life in the last 3 years, because I get to play with all kinds of people from all around the world, and we are certainly global in our span in what is my evening, but is only one other person's evening, but even they are in a slightly different evening. So yeah, this is organized by the Gauntlet. The Gauntlet is interested in encouraging more of you to play online. So if you're watching this and thinking, I'd quite like to play that, then please do visit and come to join us for our approximately seasonal Gauntlet Community Open Gaming weekends, when you can just come and try us out for a one-shot or so. And if you go to the Gauntlet website, you will find the dates of the next one, which I've a suspicion are sometime in September, but I might be wrong. But look it up. Don't trust me. So this game we're playing is set at around about 600, what used to be AD, now more often CE. It's about 200 years since the legions left Britannia. And it's another 200 years before we get to the proper age of Vikings. So it's in this middle ground where the Anglo-Saxons are establishing their hegemony over bigger and bigger bits of the British Isles. It is a time when life is cheap. It's a time when the supernatural is important to people. And so we are going to make sure that we play with a set of safety tools just to make sure that we're all comfortable. These are layered because we may touch on adult or horror themes, depending on which way the play goes. So the safety tools we're playing with are lines and veils. Lines are those things which just won't crop up in the fiction. We will avoid them. Veils are those things which may crop up in the fiction, but if they do, we will draw a discrete veil across in front of them, so they don't appear on screen. And because I'm old and British, the obvious veil is consensual sex. That will certainly go on off stage if it goes on at all. And I will invite the players to look at the lines and veils tab in the character keeper, and I've put some down there that are my starting points. By all means, upgrade any of my lines to my veils to lines. So we've got a kind of consensus of what people want to see in the game, what they don't want to see in the game. Of course, it's very difficult to predict in advance exactly what might disturb us, because sometimes stuff comes up and you think, oh, that's a bit odd. So we're also playing with the X card. The X card is there to just pause play. I won't ask you why you've played the X card. I'm sort of talking to players now. But I may ask you how far back you want me to go to avoid whatever it is that you find uncomfortable. And I would stress, folks, that if something comes up and you think, I'm okay with that, and then it comes up again, you think, actually, I'm not okay with that, still play the X card, okay? Just because you didn't play it the first time something comes up doesn't mean it can't be played. And it could be anything. I've had people play the X card when I've attached a relative's name to an NPC who then subsequently begins to do slightly unpleasant things. And so it's easy. We just rebrand that NPC. It's easy. So the best way to get my attention for the X card, folks, is to literally show it to me, because my focus tends to be on your pictures in these little large postage stamps I have on my screen in front of me. If you prefer not to do that, put it in the chat, in the Zoom chat. And folks, if anyone spots an X card being played in the chat that I haven't picked up on, please draw my attention to it. Again, typically that way. We are, though, also playing with the open door. The open door is there for two reasons. One, stuff may well go on in the real world that we have to deal with, that comes up. You know, doorbell rings, stuff happens. You know, God forbid, nothing too serious. So the open door is there, so you can just step away and deal with it. We'd like to think you would come back, but the open door is also there if this turns out not to be the game you thought it was. You know, just because you start playing this, if it doesn't turn out to be fun, for goodness sake, don't stay, right? The open door is there for you to use. It's there for me to use if, you know, if I think it's going that badly, or isn't hitting the spots that I'm hoping for. So the open door is there, folks, to provide you with a, you know, no problem if this isn't the game for you. I increasingly think of the debrief we'll use at the end of the session, which is Stars and Wishes, as a safety tool, because I think it allows people to highlight the stuff that they enjoyed and would like more of, and the stuff that they might wish to see next time or wish to see less of next time. So Stars and Wishes we will use as a debrief at the end. And finally, we are playing using the Gauntlet Community's Code of Conduct, which is a great document, which just ensures that everyone understands where we're coming from. So that is my preliminary blurb, folks. Now what I'd like to do is to just invite the players just to introduce themselves, tell us anything you like about yourselves, but we would like to know what your pronouns are. And then we're going to do character generation, finish character generation, define the location where we're going to spend the sessions, and then we're going to come back round and do introductions of the characters. So let me begin then, because I'm looking at you. Let me go clockwise. Let me start with Joe. Joe, say hello. Tell us about pronouns. Tell us anything else you want to know, the world to know about you.
Hello, I'm Joe. He, him. I'm relatively new to the Gauntlet. I think, Alan, actually, you were in my very first game on the Gauntlet. We played against the Dark Conspiracy. You as a player, I believe. And I'm have a goal this year to play a bunch of new systems and things that I've never done before, because my history was, like many people, very trad, and I am on system number 10 of the year. So I feel like I'm doing pretty well there. So
good for you. Good for you. Let me move on round to Sabine. Say hello. Tell us about your pronouns and tell us anything else you'd like the world to know.
Yeah, hi, my name is Sabine. I use any pronouns. What I want the world to know, I'm not sure what I want the world to know. Trans women are women. Boris Johnson should go. What else? Yeah, non-binary people are valid. So yeah, because that's me. And that I'll stop here. I have tons of stuff that I want the world to know, but I'll stop here.
Okay, and yeah, just to place this session in time, I am trying not to watch the BBC blog feed to tell me whether Boris Johnson has resigned or not. If I look at all distracted players, it's because something may have come up. Let me move on. Chris, say hello. Tell us about your pronouns. Tell us anything else you want to tell us.
I am Chris, pronouns he, him. I'm playing I'll talk about player PC later, right? All right. Yeah, I've been playing in the Gauntlet for about 4 or 5 months now. Similar to Joe, trying to get to play a lot more stuff that is that's not trad, and I'm starting to GM a little bit myself as well. Thanks for having me.
Good for you. Good for you. And finally, Blake, say hello. Tell us about your pronouns and tell us what time it is with you.
G'day, I'm Blake. He, him. It is 3:45 and 8 Celsius. Yeah, I've played about 15 versions of the 800 versions of Eotenweard, so, you know, still going well. Looking forward to it.
Exactly so. Want to stress that is 3:45 in the morning in Australia. You know, above and beyond the call, I have to say. So that is the players. Now then, if I can just remind you, do go to Lines and Veils. Check any lines, veils, ask first or interested in, and there's a space at the bottom to write stuff in that may not yet have made it into the list. So do spend a moment just checking that over and seeing what you want to see. Then let us look at the heroes. So I know that, Chris, you were interested in the Celtic Mystic, and you've made some progress with the Celtic Mystic. Blake, you were interested in the Storyteller. You've made some progress with the Storyteller. Joe, the last thing I spotted in the chat was an interest in the Revenant, and there it is. You're on with that. And that means Sabine. I can't remember what you were thinking. Was it the Hammer of the Gods at one point?
Yeah, I've already started
Oh,
filling
so
it
you
out.
have.
So
you have. All the way over there. Right. Well, I'm going to set about hiding the rest of them in a moment. But just to make it clear, if you see a little kind of dark, kind of shaded out corner on a cell, it's because there's a note in there that might be informative in terms of either character generation or something else. So for instance, right up there on row 1, if you hover over it, you'll see what the distribution of attributes should be: subtle, steel, stance, and soul. And temptations, no one has to select a temptation other than in play. We have a Celtic Mystic who does need to select a burden, I think already has. So nobody starts with a temptation. You get to select those in play. I'll talk about condition and harm when it matters. I would just point you at the experience slot down there on row 26. The way experience works in this game is, can you see there's a little box alongside each of the attributes: subtle, steel, sense, and soul? When you have rolled with every one of them, i.e. every time you roll with one, mark it. When you've rolled with all 4, you will get an experience point. There is no XP on a failure anymore for those of you used to an earlier version. And the other thing is that at the end of the session, there are 3 flags, call them what you will. There are 3 things for end of session XP. I would suggest you mark those as you go along, just as an aid memoir, usually to do, well, specifically to do with what that playbook is supposed to be about. So that should mean that you can build up some XP one way or the other. Next, I want to talk about row 31, 32, where you have a gift. Now, each gift can only be in play with 1 playbook at a time. And unsurprisingly, I think I'm seeing Sabine is keen on boundless vitality for the Hammer of the Gods. The Celtic Mystic doesn't get a choice. They get miracles and wonders. And it looks like at the moment, where's our Revenant? We've got a Revenant and a Storyteller to make some choices. So what I'd suggest is, if you want to kind of Blake and Joe, if you want to put those your suggestions into the chat or whatever once we get started. But I want to carry on working my way down the character sheet, make sure everybody's familiar with it. Everyone starts with 1 playbook move, and then they get to pick 1 more, with the exception of the Revenant, because the Revenant starts with 2 and gets to choose a 3rd, for reasons that will become apparent, because one of the Revenant's move is positively unhelpful. And I think that the only other choice you'll need to make, I think, at the start of play is down there on row 61, where you will find something about, you know, your gear, which is basically things to do harm to other things with, or to protect yourselves. So yeah, so and it'll tell you whether to pick 1 or 2 of those things, and whether any of them are fixed. So in the case of the Revenant, which is a bit unusual, over there, oops-a-daisy, you only get to pick 1. In the case of the Hammer, I think you get to pick 2. Most other people get to pick 1. The differences between them are mostly to do with the distance you have to be from somewhere in order to do some harm, but we'll pick up that detail as we go. Any immediate questions? Let me kind of just take any immediate questions, then I'll pause the recording while you do a bit of shuffling. Chris.
One of the XP triggers says help yourself by invoking your standing. Can you clarify what standing is?
Okay, so up there on row 6, your standing is basically at the start of the game the name of your playbook, and it links to a basic move called Help Yourself. When you say how your standing or seeming is relevant to your current situation, owe your gods a debt to re-roll 1 or 2 of your dice and say what that looks like. So your standing, owing your gods a debt, is a way of you saying to me, well, you know, I'm a Celtic mystic. It seems to me that I would have some special knowledge about this. And therefore that fail I just rolled, I'd like to re-roll that really low dice, please. And in return,
Perfect.
you owe your gods a debt.
And that's an XP trigger as well.
Yes.
Doing
Yeah,
that.
it's to encourage you every which way.
Thank you.
Any other questions that come to mind, folks, at this point, or we'll pick them up during you actually making some.
The you are blah blah blah. Is there like a list, or we're just thinking of stuff to write in there?
You are those the additional aspects of your standing you will gain as an XP, so it's an advancement.
Okay.
Yeah. So if during the game our storyteller does something heroic, then maybe you are also a potent hero, and that will broaden your standing in terms of what you could invoke to help yourself.
What people know you as, yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to pause the recording at this point. Okay, we've done a bit of character generation off the ball, and now I'm going to go round. I think I'm going to go from right to left on the character keeper, just it's a novelty. So this means I'm going to kick off, I think, with you, Joe. Tell us about Maerec Nine Fingers.
Okay, so if anybody guesses the touchstones of this, Maerec Nine Fingers is the Revenant. My touchstone for this is, if anybody's familiar, what I consider the greatest anti-hero of fantasy literature, which is Logan Nine Fingers from Joe Abercrombie's First Law trilogy. So that's kind of my inspiration. So he is, and Alan, if this is too much, just say so, and it does, but it probably doesn't really matter. But my thoughts were, in his former life, he was a sort of maybe a collaborator with Rome, and was a war chief who collaborated with Rome. When the Romans exited, he was killed, and then has been brought back and has been wandering the lands trying to right the wrongs for which he had done in his life, and has now joined up with this band because they help people, and it is a way for him. He longs a bit.
I'm gonna stop you there, because I will ask you some questions about what brings you together. Okay. So he's been dead a long time.
Yeah.
So fine, he's been dead a long time. So he dates, you know, he's 200 years old, 200 and something odd.
Or was he like resting for over 150 years and then recently came back to life?
I'm going to ask those questions. What I want to know is, he died 200 years ago. That's what matters. Okay. Okay, moving along then. Blake, tell us about Wulfwynn.
Yeah, Wulfwynn's a musician / storyteller. I think we were going with siblings, Sabine? No?
No, I don't think that works, because I have a dark past that I have to avenge, and I don't.
No worries.
know.
Okay, so yeah, I'll be a local Northumbrian traveller, storyteller. She's got a little harp. I figured there's only like 7 strings because it's a primitive version of a harp. It's not a big majestic thing. And yeah.
Yeah, that's all I need to know at this point. That's fine. Let's move along to Chris. Introduce us to Sadhbh. Are you going Sadhbh or Sadhbh? I wasn't certain.
Oh, Sadhbh rhymes with 5. Yeah, so Sadhbh, her Celtic mystic. Touchstone, though the years are way off. I realized this in my unconscious. I had seen a bunch of the show Outlander, and I think there was a character who was a witch on that, where there was enough stuff to just make me think of her. She probably has a hood. This is a screenshot of somebody from The Last Kingdom, but I admittedly haven't seen those episodes. She has, if it's okay, she has some animals either on her, near her hovel, or that she's attracted with food, like a raven and a mastiff. And she has staghorn necklace, a metal torque necklace around her neck that had to be twisted to hold it in place, like a choker that can't be removed.
That's good. And like all Celtic mystics, she carries a burden. Tell us about the burden that she is cursed with or lumbered with.
Yeah, she believes in the old gods, and she has found her way to make herself useful by being a gardener and an herbalist. And in watching the world change and watching people adopt Christianity and having seen the success that the old gods have given her, she thinks that they are foolish. And so she has pride. She believes that she is superior and that they are losing their way.
Fine. I shall be interested to see how that plays out in company. And finally, Sabine, introduce us to Osbeorn.
Yeah, I'm playing Osbeorn. Osbeorn is a hammer of the gods. Osbeorn is a pretty actually he's a pretty happy fellow considering all things that have happened. He was big on hospitality, right? He had a hall and wife, and everything seemed to be going so fine. They had a guest from, I don't know where she came from, Theodosia, she said her name was. And after she became our guest, people started to sicken and die. They were so pale and weak. And and eventually, of course, Theodosia was a vampire, took over the hall, made my wife another vampire, and then they drove me out and burned down the hall. So I have a bit of a problem with vampires now, as you might imagine.
As I might imagine, and we might find out some more about your loss and pain because you have a move that will require you to talk about it. So these are our characters then. Let's think about the settlement. So if I ask you to go to the settlement tab, folks, you are going to create the supporting cast. Each of you will create 2 members of the settlement, and then you're gonna, once you've created them, you're gonna add them to over there on columns AK. I appreciate if your screen real estate is small, you may have to be whizzing back and forth. Forgive me for that. But yeah, you're going to populate the settlement in terms of interesting NPCs that we may encounter. The way you do this is that each of you is going to decide, is this a pagan Saxon or is this a Christian Briton? And you'll find that there are lists of appropriate kind of names, period appropriate names over there in columns A to about Q, I guess. You're going to pick one of those, or you can do it randomly, if you want to. And whether they're male or female. So you'll have a name, and then you're going to describe them. You're going to describe them in terms of some description and their role. So and each of these can only be used once. So once you've selected one, so if somebody selects the dangerous healer, they'll put a tick in dangerous, a tick in healer, and they'll have created a name for them, and they will add that to the settlement. And each of you is going to add 2 people. And the only thing I want to say is you may want to create some kind of balance in the village between those in the Lord's Hall or the Ladies' Hall and those in the broader village settlement. So I'm going to stick with the same order because, why wouldn't you? So Joe, do you want to start with a name or do you want to start with a description and role?
I will start with a name. I will choose Hild, pagan Saxon female.
Fine. And what can you tell us about Hild?
Hild is she is the lustful charcoaler.
Okay, so tick lustful and tick charcoaler, maker of charcoal, and Hild is going to be somewhere in the village. So you'll find a slot inside the kind of dotted line for the village. Fill in one of those slots. Put their pronouns in as well, just so, because once we get on, we'll start forgetting which column they came out of, and not all of these names will be intuitive in terms of any gender or description. So moving along, Blake, who would you like to add to our supporting characters?
I'm going to go with Hroflaf.
Right.
We're not pronouncing that properly. And he's a energetic priest of Woden.
Great. And you'll notice that priest of Woden is in italics and bold, which means that they will be found in the Great Hall. So by all means, add Hroflaf, the energetic priest of Woden, to the hall. Next, Chris, would you like to, do you want to start with a name, or do you want to start with a role?
Yeah, I'll do Christian Britain name Eotenweard.
Fine.
And they will be a bitter herder.
Yes, fine. So again, not in bold or italics, and so they are going to crop up in the village rather than the hall. So add Eotenweard to the village. And finally, Sabine, who would you like to add to our cast at this point?
I think I will choose the name of I like Britannia, and Britannia is let me see. Yeah, Britannia is our mendacious leader's Britain's spouse.
Oh.
Yeah, she's not a very honest person.
Okay, so we have the mendacious spouse. There we go. Yeah, that's. I'm just checking in on what's going into the village. That's exactly what I was hoping for, folks. Thank you. So then I'm going to go round again for a second supporting cast. So Joe, who else do you want to add to the village of Wulfsdael, which is where we're playing?
All right, I will be adding, I think I'm pronouncing this, I doubt I'm pronouncing this correctly, Idnerth.
You might have to help me with that one.
It's row 35 under the Christian Britons.
Idnerth. Yes, sorry. I at some point I will simplify the spellings to make them more easily accessible. So,
and so Idnerth is the mischievous loon.
All loons should be mischievous, it seems to me. Fine. So again, add them to the village. So far, we've only got one person. We've got the priest. Oh, sorry, we're due a British spouse. Ah, there she is. Right. Okay. Okay. Go on, Blake. Who else do you want?
We'll go Eotenweard, the chaste, and there's a warrior.
Right. Eotenweard, the chaste warrior, who goes into the hall.
Yep.
Fine. Chris, who's your second and final member of supporting cast?
And do I see this correct? Okay, we've got 3 in the village, 3 in the hall.
We do.
And there's a box that says the settlement's leader is, and that's not to fill out now. Is that correct?
That's me.
That's you.
So
Got
so
it.
once you've given me 8 members of supporting cast, I'll try to come up with a suitably interesting leader for the settlement that doesn't use any of your characteristics.
Got it. Apologize for being thick here, but are we missing one? I see 6 and you said 8, right? There should be 8.
There will be 8 once you've put number 7 in, and then Sabine will put number 8 in.
Oh yeah, sorry about that, Sabine. I thought I was last. Okay, so I will say,
While you're thinking about it, I will say
Yeah.
to the ones who've already put something in, would you make sure you add pronouns, please? Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
oh, no worries. So I'm going to choose pagan Saxon named Bardawulf, who is going to be the vicious heir.
I love it. We have a mendacious spouse and a vicious heir. A recipe for family harmony. Thank you for that one. And finally, Sabine, our 8th and final.
Okay, let me just check here what we have. I think what we have as our last and final person in this cast, I think her name, I need a name. And her name is, Sigeborg, probably. I don't know how you would.
Yeah, my basic pronunciation is,
Yeah.
if it has a letter in it, sound it.
Yeah, so Sigeborg, and she is, let me see what we can have here. A talkative alewife, because we need an alewife.
Do you know, almost every time there's an alewife, they turn out to be talkative?
It's kind of comes with the territory.
Goes with the territory, doesn't it? You know,
Yeah.
who doesn't want a pub landlady who's talkative?
Yeah.
Okay. So add her to the settlement. Okay, then with a mendacious. Go
Can I
ahead.
interrupt for one moment? I'm
Of
sorry.
course.
Would it be helpful for us to also specify in the chart of the village in the hall whether they are Christian or pagan, or does not really matter? They're all kind of Christian.
I mean, that wouldn't be a bad idea, in as much as it will allow you to keep a handle on that. By all means, I suppose I've seen the list of names enough to spot the Saxons, but I quite appreciate that for you it may not be quite as clear. So if you want to make a note of Britain or Saxon, then that'll cover that off, because pagan, Saxon, Christian, Britain. Yeah, good plan. Thank you, Chris. Let me think. Who have I got in the hall? I've got a warrior, a mendacious wife, a vicious heir. There is no way you don't go with Hengist, the infirm landholder. So the settlement leader is Hengist, who's he, him, and he is the infirm Saxon landholder. It seems to me that is exactly the kind of territory that a vicious heir and a mendacious wife would want to explore. Now, I may create some other supporting cast depending on where the story goes, but this is our starting cast, and an interesting bunch they are. We have one other thing to do, and I think we can get it done before we take our first break. Each of you is also going to add a location in the vicinity of the village of Wulfsdael. You'll find on column AB to AH, there is a descriptor and there is a place. For example, the Dark Caverns. I'm going to go back round to Joe, stick with the order. Would you like to describe a location? And this goes in the little slot of the local map that's called Nearby Places of Interest.
How about haunted standing stones?
if you're going to have some standing stones, it stands to reason they would be haunted. And of course, have particular relevance to any Celtic mystic who happen to be passing through the area. So fine. And again, tick them off because you can't use them twice. Then Blake, what location do you want to add?
Sinister ancient hill forts leaping out at me.
Okay, sinister ancient hill fort. Wonderful. I wonder why they didn't build the village there. Chris, what kind of location do you think might be interesting to add?
Could you come back to me for a moment?
I
And
can.
Sabine can go now.
I can.
Thank you.
Sabine?
Sure. I thought I will give us, let's go with a bit. Oh, we can have a mysterious, what is the mysterious thing here? Estuary.
Oh, so we're coastal. Okay. Yep. So coastal with an ancient hill fort, some standing stones, and an estuary. Okay.
And it's mysterious.
It is well known for being mysterious. We'll discover perhaps why it is mysterious later. Chris, any thoughts?
Yes. Treacherous moorland.
Aha, treacherous moorland. So we've got the sea to one side, we've got an ancient hill fort, we've got some standing stones, and we've got some treacherous moorland. What more could you want? I'm going to call a break in a moment. If you have a moment during the break, you might want to check out the tab called Location Moves, because each of those will confer, there'll be a move when you go in it, through it, round it, near it. And it also creates advantage or disadvantage for certain things. So I am going to call that break now. I'm going to suggest we take 8 minutes until on the hour. Does anyone want a bit more than that, or is that long enough? Okay, I'm going to pause the recording now. Okay, so we have the settlement of Wulfsdael defined. We have our 4 player characters defined. And what I want to begin with is I'm going to ask you some questions about why the 4 of you come to be drawn together, because you don't all share the same cultural heritage or backgrounds. You wander the lands doing what the gods bid. So again, I'm going to stick with the same order. So I'm going to start with Joe and ask you about Maerec. So I'm curious, Maerec, what have you seen or heard or dreamed that convinces you that Wulfsdael is where Woden wants you?
Let's see. I think that he had a vision or dream of a great injustice of some sort, and given his past and wanting to right wrongs, felt drawn to this place.
So there's injustice to be dealt with. Okay. Let me move along to Blake. What convinces Wulfwynn that there's a reason to travel to Wulfsdael?
I think I'm fleeing the last place. Like I told a tale that was a bit bawdy, and the Christians were getting uppity, and
that's interesting. That's interesting. That might come up in play, but you move at the bidding of the gods, not mortals. So what is drawing you to Wulfsdael?
All right. I had a dream about the standing stones.
The standing stones. Okay. Chris, what is Sadhbh? What makes Sadhbh believe that this is where she should be going?
Yeah, Sadhbh was tending to her hawthorn trees when she saw some of the bushes were infected with a blight, and she she closed her eyes and was told that there was some kind of creature or spirit that she needed to actually banish that was coming from another town.
Okay, and that leads you to Wulfsdael. And finally, Sabine, what about Osbeorn? What makes Osbeorn believe that this is where the gods want him? The gods, yeah, the Woden wants him.
Well, when he left his hall behind, he just walked, just followed whatever, let the god guide him, and the guided him here. So now he's here now, because that's where his steps led him. That must be where Woden wants him, right?
Because why else would he be here?
Exactly.
Let me start with you and then go back the other way then, because I'm curious, Osbeorn, if the god guides you, what convinces you that this group of people share some purpose with you? Because presumably Woden wouldn't have guided your steps here.
Yeah, well, but we were at the alewives and they were sitting at my table.
You're not at Wulfsdael yet.
Oh, we're not. So then we just meet up on the road.
You are traveling together.
All of us meet, and that can be. There's no coincidence in the world, right? There isn't. I don't think so. Woden has a plan.
So Woden guides your steps where you need to go, and he brought you to these people on this road to this settlement.
They seem fine. I think this one guy might be. He's probably not a vampire though, right? If he's a vampire, we'll have a thing. Well,
time will tell. Siv, I'm going to get that pronunciation wrong, but Siv, what has convinced you? How have the old gods convinced you that these are the heroes you should travel with? Because, they don't believe in the same stuff you do.
Yes. Well, these are these other people have been presented as tools that will help me basically seek out what I need. And there's this one. Do we see the Revenant?
Oh yeah, you've been traveling together. This is not your first rodeo.
The Revenant appears as a spirit, or?
Well, Joe, do you want to describe Maerec? We've got a picture.
Sure. So I guess this would be my understanding of Revenant. So I believe he is physical, right? He's has the body. He's not incorporeal or anything like that. He's kind of a hulk of a person. Very kind of, what do you call it? Like messy hair and all stuff. Very scarred and everything. Obviously, he must be brooding. You can't be a Revenant, I suspect, and not be brooding in some way, shape, or form. Wears hood a lot because of he's probably pale, I would assume. So I don't know. So I will tell you, he has a giant, and I don't know, Alan, just cut me off if you want to wait and ask me this question later or something, but he has a giant like scar, like kind of in here, and which was the killing sort of thing that he attempts to hide, but that would be maybe one of his tells, is sort of this weeping scar that he has.
Does that help?
Yeah, that does help. So just to complete the thought process, Sadhbh looks at least two of these as being very strong figures, and I'm much more of a meddler, a wise meddler who is trying to help people, but also learn. And I'm not as strong as they are, so I think I need them for protection.
And certainly your burden of pride would suggest that, of course, the old gods have provided you with the tools you need. Why wouldn't they? You're Sadhbh.
Exactly.
And then what am I left with? Let me. Yeah. So Wulfwynn, what convinces you that these are the people you should be traveling with in order to meet Woden's desires for you?
Well, in these dreams about the standing stones, each of them keep dying in different ways.
Ooh, right.
But, you know, probably a coincidence.
Is just when you say in different ways, you see each of them die once, but in 3 different ways, or you dream of them regularly, each time each of them dies differently.
The latter.
Fine. So repeated death dreams in which they die differently. Fine. Well, not fine, but you get my drift.
Yeah.
Joe, what about Maerec? What convinces him? And you began to get into this maybe, but I'm curious about what makes you believe that these people are maybe the route to some kind of doing the right thing, redemption.
Yeah.
Too strong a word?
Yeah, so I thought about it a little more, and I thought that so perhaps he came across them as he was wandering. When he went to leave them, that scar of his began to burn and pain uncontrollably until he went back to them, and so that is how he knew that he should stay with them. Doesn't know much more than that, other than if he tries to leave, it is not good.
And how far he can get is a dramatically appropriate distance. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Because who wants to put a leash on the guy? Okay, so this gives us a picture. Again, one of the conceits is you've been walking all day, and so it is towards dusk as you come upon Wulfsdael, the place you believe you've been sent. And you're going to need hospitality here. So I'm going to point you again at the arriving and leaving tab where there is a seek hospitality move. When you first arrive at the settlement, present yourselves at its hall and declaim your standing or seeming. So then the hero with the greatest reputation, and you all have a reputation of 1 to begin with, but I'm kind of looking at you in terms of social standing here, and I think there is no way that the Celtic mystic has any standing. Maerec, I'm guessing Maerec, the hood up, standing slightly back in the shadows, doesn't want to draw attention to himself, is the sense I get. So I don't think he's going to be the person who puts himself forward. I mean, Osbeorn, you're armed as a warrior, so that gives you a certain amount of standing that you could exploit unless you want to cede the floor to Wulfwynn.
I mean, if she steps forward, I let her, sure, but otherwise, I will do this. I will declaim who I am.
Well, because there's that kind of eye contact between Wulfwynn and Osbeorn. Wulfwynn, it looks like Osbeorn, as the warrior here, is going to step up unless you get in the way.
I think I'll step forward. I want to try the velvet glove before we let them all know we're here to kick ass and chew bubblegum.
Osbeorn, is that okay with you?
Yeah,
but implied it was.
Yeah, sure. I wasn't going to kick anyone anywhere. It's just against hospitality laws, right? But
exactly so.
Sure, you go ahead.
Yeah.
So let's now the dice roller. You will find the link to the dice roller in Lines and Veils. The dice room is up the top there, and you're going to roll 2d6 plus 1 for your reputation, Wulfwynn. What do we hear you declaim?
I'll play a little tune as I'm approaching it, dum da dum da dum da dum da dum dum, and just greetings.
And I think that Hrothulaf the Lord, and supported by his British wife, comes out when it becomes clear visitors are approaching his hall, and they stand on the threshold, and you're playing in the dusk. And what do we hear you say, Wulfwynn?
I say, greetings, my lord and my lady. We have travelled far and seeking your hospitality for the night.
Well, let's have you roll 2d6 plus 1 then. It's a 9. Osbeorn, I'm going to offer you the chance to help if you think that you could improve that at all. Is there anything you think you could do that would turn that into a full success?
What? 2 questions. A, the mechanical one. What do I need to do mechanically? And B, of course, fictionally, I will think of something that I can help to support Wulfwynn.
Well, you'll find on basic moves, help another hero.
Okay, cool.
When you describe how you help another hero after their roll, roll with the attribute the Fates agrees is most relevant, which is why I'm interested in what you might do, and then I'll tell you the most appropriate.
Okay. I think I will just, she is standing and invoking hospitality, and I will nod at the appropriate times. I am a warrior. I'm clearly, my boots might be muddy, but they are of actual good quality. And just standing there and just being a bit imposing, like, yep,
Okay.
we are asking for your hospitality, and you can trust us, right? We're not robbers or something. We're not going to try steal it from you.
Okay, so I think I'm going to ask you to roll plus subtle then, because this seems to be to not be at all threatening.
And I do
this
roll
isn't we want your hospitality or else.
No, that you don't do that. That
exactly so.
No, and I'm rolling the 2 pink d6s, right?
If that's okay, yes, please.
It's not, but I will do it anyway. That's a 7, so
I'll add 1 to their roll. Expose yourself to any danger, risk, or consequence they face. So this gets to full success on Seek Hospitality. On 10 plus, the hospitality is generous and a hero close enough to act with advantage in response to those events before any NPC. So it's you're welcome, but I need to know what you are going to encounter. So you are ushered into the hall. I think probably that Wulfwynn and Osbeorn are ushered towards the top table. I think Maerec and Sadhbh are ushered to a side table among other members of the village, the hall kind of entourage. Blake, can I ask you to mute? Thank you. And your weapons are collected because hospitality rules apply. You won't need them. All you'll need is a knife to eat with. And so I want to know really which of those options under 7 plus applies. So this is something to agree between yourselves. So I'm sick of starting at the ends. I want to start in the middle. Sadhbh, is there going to be a heated conversation between non-player characters? Is something unusual going to happen, or are the doors of the hall going to burst open during your meal? Or is something even more flavorful going to happen, in which case, what is it? Which of those attracts you?
And for my own reference, are you referring to something that I can even see?
Yeah, I'm on the arriving and leaving tab, Seek Hospitality.
Got it. Yes. Yes, I think the doors of the hall burst open.
Fine. So, some time has passed. The hospitality is generous. Wulfwynn and Osbeorn are sharing a table with the Lord, the Lady, the Son, probably the priest. The warrior is sitting on a side table near Maerec and Sadhbh. And there are sundry other set dressing cast members in the hall. And the door is going to burst open. Let me ask Maerec. Does anyone enter, or do the doors simply burst open?
Before I answer that, do I need to? I have a beginning of session.
You do.
I need to?
what I want to do is to set up this
Perfect.
scene, and then we'll do those.
I actually think they just burst open. Perhaps it was stormy or something, and they just kind of burst open, but somewhat, ominously.
That's an interesting question. Osbeorn, is it that windy outside to be able to burst these doors open?
Nah, it's never been this. No, this is something different. Vampires can turn into all kinds of stuff.
Wulfwynn, you're a sharp cookie. Which of the cast members present, the supporting cast members present, looks, I don't know, surprised, worried, anxious, or not? Or do none of them?
Eotenweard, the chaste Christian warrior.
And what can you tell me about their react? What do they look? What does their behavior give away, if anything?
Maybe they share a glance with the alewife, Sadhbh.
Okay, so shares a glance with the alewife. Okay. One of you, now that means either Sadhbh or Maerec, because you're nearest the doors. You have the chance to do something before any of the non-player characters. Would either of you like to do anything? Maerec? You've been around a long time. I'll go to you first.
I think he doesn't have his. I was going to say he gets more. I think he's not going to do anything. He's going to kind of play it. He's not going to draw attention to himself at this point.
Well, let me go to Sadhbh then. Does Sadhbh want to draw any attention to themselves, or do anything else that wouldn't draw any attention to themselves?
Oh, yeah. Sadhbh looks around, annoyed at the rest of the group. I think that Blake just described that the warrior and the wife exchange a glance. Was that right?
The alewife, I think.
Oh, the alewife, not the wife.
Who's there serving?
Got it. Sadhbh is going to push her chair aside, annoyed that she's at this side table, and march over to the doors and look outside with her arms crossed.
Okay. There is a basic move called Look About You. So let's have you look about you. So you're going to roll with sense.
Okay. And just
unless you've got a move that you think would do the same thing differently.
Oh no, that's great. Just a point in terms of checking off our check boxes. So at this case, I will check off sense after I do it.
Exactly so.
Did
Blake?
Wolf?
You're right. Reputation doesn't have a tick box.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I'm going to roll 2 dice plus 1. I'll check it off so I remember what I'm doing. Using this interface, I've used the other view. Okay, I put 1 out there. I'll put another 1 out. And I select them.
I'm seeing a 5 and a 1. They will come up
5
random.
and 1. Got it. So those are that's my roll, right? 5 plus 1 plus 1.
Which is
so I've got 7
plus.
Got it.
And 7 plus. Either ask one question about location, situation, someone or something, what you think might have happened, what you think might happen next, or ask the face to reveal a foe's weakness. I'm not sure that's appropriate at this point. Or agree a detail with me to add to the scene that enriches the fiction, or ask me to do so.
Mhm. So Sadhbh wants to know, just going back to the cast of characters. Sadhbh wants to know what the chaste warrior knows about the doors opening.
I think Wulfwynn didn't tell us what the nature of the exchange with the alewife. So I think that I am going to tell you that pardon me, Aelwyn is worried by this, and in fact walks quickly across the hall and closes the doors. Unless you intervene, Sadhbh.
Yeah, Sadhbh is going to intervene. Yeah. She's going to look at the latch on the door and try to figure out why it would have blown open on its own.
That sounds like another look about me.
Okay.
Do that thing.
I got it. And what am I using here? Am I using
Look about you is always with sense.
got it. Okay. So I've got a 9.
9. So again, do you want to know? I will tell you. There is nothing wrong with the latch. There is no way the latch should have given. There is not enough wind outside to have broken the latch. This makes no sense, Sadhbh. While you're thinking about that, let me go to Osbeorn at the high table. Osbeorn, Hrothgar hardly notices the door. He kind of peers across through the gloom of the hall, lit by the fire pit. And on the far side of the fire pit, he sees that somebody's closed the door. That's all that matters to him. Damn door.
Yeah, I have to shake a thing. I'll be back right quick because I want to see if there's something out there. So
There's a draft out there.
Yes, I am aware. That is, I will not. I know which direction I will put my draft in.
Don't leave the door open.
No, of course not, sir.
And he turns to his wife and says, I think he's going to open the door again. And you make your way across the hall to the door.
Yeah, I mean, there was ale, right? Ale runs right through you.
And Sadhbh is turning from the door, convinced that there's no way it could have opened naturally. Do you want a conversation with Sadhbh, or do you want to do something else?
I mean, if Sadhbh's there, I'll nod to her and say, like, not very loudly, like, and did you see someone out there?
There's nothing there.
Ha, something invisible then. I will go outside and check this out.
Sadhbh, do you go with?
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Maerec, you've been keeping your head down so far. You've seen Sadhbh examine the door. You've seen Osbeorn march across the hall in that kind of way that he has, and it looks like they're shaping to go outside. Do you stay or do you go?
Maerec will join them. He will kind of, I think he'll get up and kind of, he steps back into the shadows and makes his way, I'm assuming the edges of the hall are in, not wet, and kind of just makes his way subtly towards the door as well.
Wulfwynn, what about you? You're left at the high table unless you accompany Osbeorn.
No, I'm going to ask the Lord and say, what's been happening around here? And smile and try and get their attention and distract them with conversation.
This, I think, might be a good point to look at any start of sessions. I do want to start with seeming human from our Revenant. Though you clothe yourself in the appearance of humanity, mortals can sometimes sense your true nature. The first time during a session you encounter a mortal NPC, and the ones that got closest to you is probably the alewife who was helping to serve tonight. So let me have you roll plus soul, please.
All right, that will be +2. So let's see.
Just as well, it's +2. That gets to a whole 7. On 7 to 9, any mortals you encounter during the session are inexplicably suspicious of you, and you make any social rolls with disadvantage. Yeah.
Yep.
So I'll make a note of that so I try not to forget. There's just something, maybe it's your manner, to be honest, you know, skulking about in the shadows the way you do. And has he taken his hood off yet? Says Wrothlav to his wife. Let's have you three of you outside then. It's to be honest, it's a still night. I'm going to assume, unless you tell me different, that you pick up your weapons from the door, Warden, as you leave.
Yeah, if you give it to me, sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, everybody can take them on the way out.
Yeah, sure. I'll just, I don't feel great going outside without my trusty aches. You know how it is.
Oh, absolutely, I understand that. And as you leave,
Oh, wait, there's a door, Warden. Is he inside or is he's inside, right? He didn't
inside.
see anything.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Sadhbh, as you are leaving, opening the door as little as possible to slip outside, I think, you'll notice that there's another exchange, a glance between the alewife and the warrior. Yeah. At the high table, Wulfwynn, I'll be honest with you, any conversation with Wrothlav is at something of a disadvantage because he doesn't hear terribly well, and is frankly more interested in his food than he is in anything you have to say.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of I'll look around and sort of make it an open conversation for others and just to say what's been happening around here recently. Well,
let's have you look about you then. Roll plus sense, unless you have something better to offer me.
Is there a general conversation mood to get information? Just
look about you, because you're asking questions, aren't you?
Okay, so it's just all right.
And unless you wanted to invoke the sight.
Yeah, I could do that.
The gods sometimes show you things that cannot be seen and may be best left unseen. Roll either owe your gods a debt and roll with favor, or mark wounded or dying to pay in blood and roll plus favor. Debt or blood?
I'll go dead.
Okay, good, because it allows me to take you all the way down. So if folks, you just want to check out row 54, just so I can explain what's going on down here. So what is going to happen is that our storyteller is going to add a debt, you'll see there, to Woden the Allfather. Yeah. And that debt will mount. And as it mounts, the gods get less amenable. Yeah. So you're going to roll with favor, which is soul minus debts currently owed. So whatever your soul is, take one away from it and roll with that, Wulfwynn.
So -2.
Oh, right.
6 and 4, 10, so down to 8.
Well, wow, fancy that. Okay, you'll find the relevant move on basic moves, invoke your gift. When you call on your gods to empower your gift, say what success looks like. You're wanting to know what's going on, and what this will do is to show you something in the hall. Yeah? On 7+, the gods favor you and empower your gift. Owe them a debt or mark condition as they should, blah, blah, blah. Okay. The fate chooses 1. You attract unwelcome attention. Your gift has a broader effect than you desired. Your gift takes more from you than you had expected. Okay, so I can tell you that, and you may gather this, there is, how would you see tension in a vision?
I would hear it. I would hear music, like a change of rapid pace, like stringed instrument music.
You are picking up negative emotions between the vicious heir and the mendacious wife.
Okay.
So poor relations between them. But you are picking up a more positive relationship between the energetic priest of Woden and the mendacious wife.
Okay.
And that perhaps put a context on the fact that the heir, whose name I have momentarily, Bardwulf leans over and says, nothing has gone on that couldn't be sorted out if my father didn't get a grip on things. Crops have been poor, the animals are sick. I need to put a bit of stick about among these people. Yet he does nothing.
How long have things been going bad for? Is it just like the last week, or for years, or
years, and it just gets worse? We haven't put any ages on these people. I'm imagining that Bardwulf is probably in his early 20s. I think that probably his mother is in her 40s, and Hrothlar is well older than that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to deal with historical age of death, which was probably 35.
Yeah.
Yeah, does that give you?
Is anyone sort of nodding with him, or are they looking concerned while he's saying this stuff?
He's talking to you.
Yeah.
He's leaning in, talking to you.
Okay.
You know what? His mother's on the other side of his father, and his father has no conversation.
Okay. Well, have you talked to your father about it? As a priest talk to you?
I talk to him all the time. That he doesn't remember what I say day to day.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'll play a tune to kind of lighten the mood and give these guys time to investigate and come back.
Fine.
I'm kind of waiting to see what else is going to happen.
Outside, how full is the moon, Maerec?
How about a full moon? Why not?
Why not have a full moon? And in some bizarre way, the moon casts the shadow of the standing stones on that high ground over there across the village. Because why wouldn't it?
I don't think that is a good omen. I don't think that is a good omen at all. I don't like that. But I will look about me and try to find the tracks of the vampire or whatever beastie or thingy have you here. It might be a fairy. That would be okay then. We can punch a fairy. I mean, we shouldn't punch a fairy if it doesn't do anything, but we could. Well, anyway, I will look about me and try to figure out what's going on here.
Roll plus sense. I know you've got another move to throw at me.
No, I'm terrible at sense. This will go wildly not great. Oh, wow, I've rolled an 11, so yeah, it's a 10.
Well, what do you know?
Yeah.
You can ask me 2 questions.
Where is the move? Look about you. Hinder another hit mark.
Sorry, no, you could still ask me 1 question, but you have advantage if you ask on it.
I found it.
So what do you want to know?
So I think I would like to know what blew the doors open. What might? Yeah, I think what blew this was that something invisible but yet tangible, or was that someone commanding the wind or something like that?
I think based on the evidence in front of you now, I can tell you that whatever kicked open those doors did so with some force.
Mhm.
You know, you can confirm Sadhbh's view that this latch should have held it closed.
Mhm.
There is no sign, you know, there are some baskets stacked up beside the hall door. They haven't been blown over.
Mhm.
Something
the wind.
physically pushed that
Okay.
door.
Ah, that's great.
Something unnatural pushed that door open.
Good.
Unless one of the villagers came up and didn't, then ran away into the shadows before you went outside.
But whoever or whatever it was, it had to leave some sort of tracks. If it had feet, that's the reason
There
there will be
are
tracks.
no tracks. You rolled a 10. There are no tracks.
Oh, that is odd because, I mean,
You know what else is odd?
no.
You know the shadow of those standing stones that fall
Uh-huh.
over the village?
Yeah.
You would expect them to kind of hit the door and the shadow would kind of move up the door, wouldn't you?
Yep.
They
Mhm.
don't.
Huh.
They end. The shadow ends unnaturally at the threshold of the hall.
Okay. I have no idea. I have no clue what that means, but we have a couple of people who know who know more about this kind of stuff than I do. So I will turn around and I look at Maerec, who's in the shadows for some reason. I will ask Sadhbh
Well,
for.
let me come to Maerec. You know,
Okay.
Maerec's lurking in the shadows.
Yeah.
The shadow of the standing stone falls in front of Maerec, but not onto him. Maerec, you noticed that. You know, Osbeorn looks at you, looks at where the shadows move past you to the threshold of the hall, and looks at you, and it's like, how can you stop a shadow?
I mean, light stops shadow, but you are not made of light, my friend. I think. Doesn't seem like that. And I turn to Sadhbh and say, you're someone who knows stuff, right?
And you see Sadhbh turn her ring, which has a moon on it. She's spinning it, and Sadhbh says, yes, time to explore, but we need the whole team. And she wants to, surprisingly, she wants to send a message to the chaste warrior, telling the chaste warrior, you've been summoned outside, and can she use her her gift?
She can always use her gift. What is she wanting to do?
She's wanting to message the chaste warrior. So it's communicate with someone without words.
Fine.
And the message is going to be, the chaste warrior is perceptibly Christian or pagan. I'm trying to remember.
Let's have a look. I think they're probably pagan. I think they're probably pagan. Whatever they're, because I doubt that that.
Oh, it says Christian on here.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, I got it wrong. I misremembered. It's the other one. No, that's fine. No, say Christian.
Okay. So she's going to say, you're wanted by your Holy Spirit. She's going to say something that is a little bit, unfortunately, tongue-in-cheek for her. She's like saying it, gritting her teeth.
Or she's pretending to be the Holy Spirit, which I would have thought.
She's pretending to, but she's unable to completely put herself in check. So she's just hoping that this warrior won't detect her.
Right. So add a debt to the old gods, and roll plus favor, which is soul now -1.
Okay. So I did a -1 and plus favor. Can you remind me how I actually do that? Is that just 2d6 -1?
Soul minus
soul
debt equals
Got
favor.
It. So +1. Got it. Okay. Eight total.
Close thing. So it works, but it takes more from you than you had expected, because I think that probably the old gods struggle a little bit to imitate the Holy Spirit. And so I'd like you to mark condition. Now, that allows me to just clarify what we've got going with condition. Down on row 21, you mark this top left to bottom right. So you go down and across. So you're going to mark wearied right up there at the top. Yeah?
Got it. Yep.
And the next one you mark below that, and then the one below that. And then
Got
start
it.
the set column, third column, and so on. Okay.
And I assume this is not enough of an XP trigger to put myself at risk to indulge my burden. That would be real physical harm, like death or something.
I think that you need to have channeled pride somehow. I think that this is just the gods being slightly pissed off with you for calling on them. You want us to imitate. I mean, what is it like talking to the old gods, Sadhbh?
So specifically, she's seen the moon and she's got her moon ring. So she's talking to Arianrod because she wants to target the specific. There's about 20 people, maybe 10 to 20 people in there, and she needs to send the message specifically. So
Makes sense.
She's looking up at the moon and her hair is blowing a little bit, even though it's still outside. And you can see beads of sweat forming on her head. She's trying to not face the chased warrior because she doesn't want to give anything away in case the door is still ajar. And it's like there is a little bit of tension and electricity as her body stiffens and the message goes through her from the old gods to the warrior.
Aelwyn. And Aelwyn, Wulfwynn, I think you'll notice that Aelwyn is coming away from the door where she closed it. Then they opened it and went outside, and she closed it again, and is heading back to where she was sitting in the hall, and then seems to pause and touches something under her jerkin. Catches the eye of the alewife again, and heads back outside, or heads outside.
All right, things seem to be moving more rapidly so than in some versions of the dream, so I'm going to wander outside.
And you will get to the door at the same time as, where's she gone? Sadhbh, the talkative alewife, who seemed to also notice notice Aelwyn leaving, the chased warrior leaving.
I think I
and
just sort
heads
of
for the
gently
door.
like grab her hand and say, "You all right? You seem a bit startled."
Nothing, mistress. And she's clearly struggling for an excuse for why she should leave.
I just say, we're here to help. We're here to help. We help people.
And she looks back at the high table where they seem to be occupied among themselves. There seems to be an argument developing, perhaps unsurprisingly based on what you've heard so far. And she says, "Not here," and she goes out through the door.
No, follow her.
Where Maerec, you're standing not in the shadows to one side, you're in the moonlight. As she comes out following Aelwyn the warrior. What do you do, Maerec, if anything?
Yeah, so I was kind of thinking too that when Sadhbh, it takes a lot out of her as she kind of stumbles a little bit, he reaches out and kind of steadies her. And as they come out of the alewife, Wulfwynn, and the warrior all kind of come out, he looks at them and says, "Attend, warrior. There are fell spirits among us. We have work to do." And says, "Alewife, this is no place for you."
Okay. Now that sounds like you're wanting her to go back inside.
Yeah, I mean, from his perspective, she has no business here. It just puts her in danger. So he wants her to go back and
wait. She has news.
Well, hang on a moment. He has said what he has said. And I think that what I want to do is to suggest that you're trying to convince them, aren't you? Convince her to this woman said come outside, then this slightly scary individual that's got something of the night about him says go back inside. So let's have you roll to convince, but I think that this is going to be at disadvantage.
Yep.
So roll with subtle at disadvantage because you are not a nice person to these people. So roll all 3 dice and take the bottom 2.
And -1 because of my complete and total lack of subtlety.
Indeed. Well, gee whiz. So that is a complete failure. Aylwyn turns on you and draws their knife. Stay away from her, says Aylwyn.
I'll say, wait. We're here to help.
This sounds like you're trying to talk down Aylwyn, the chaste warrior.
Yeah.
Let's have you convince with subtle then. No disadvantage for you.
Okay. 2. Excellent. Good. Come on, roll good.
Yeah, this is what
11.
You do well. You choose. You gain advantage as a result of their help, agreement, whatever, on your next relevant move, or the settlement owes you a debt.
I think the latter. Yeah.
Fine.
I say, look, my friend was trying to protect you. We're here to help. Please let us know what's going on.
If you go down to 57, you'll find Wulfsdael is in the settlement list, and you can. The settlement owes you a debt because she's going to say good things about you. Yeah. If you begin to get interested in how you can spend or use these debts, the debt economy tab will tell you. But let's not go there yet. So Aylwyn is clearly protective of Sadhbh the Alewife, and is standing between Maerec and the Alewife, but now seems inclined to put the knife away. Osbeorn, you've been watching all of this go on. Any observations?
I mean, drawing a knife is a bit inhospitable, huh? But okay, this is cleared up now, and what I would also like to know what's actually going on here, because there seems to be something, and maybe, and I lift up my axe, maybe we can help you clear that up.
What I think emerges between now and our next commercial break is that there have been strange things happening for some time. Those doors flying open was the most recent and the most obvious, but people have reported that their cows stopped giving milk just for one day. Somebody has said that that rats have got into the corn, into the wheat stock, into the grain stores, and yet when you go, you find signs of the rats, but no rats.
I think it's not a vampire.
Something is amiss, and the Alewife, being the talkative one, picks up a lot of stuff from the rest of the village, and doesn't have the status to take this to the Lord, so has confided in Aylwyn. And Aylwyn seems to be carrying something of a torch.
Yeah, there's something amiss, though.
There is something amiss.
There's clearly something amiss. We are here. We have been led here. And I look at the other 3 and I say, we have been led here to do something. And I think this is it. We have to figure out what this curse is and how we can break it.
Yeah, I will try and get them to tell us a list like in chronological order, and we'll try and look for a pattern.
I think that what I'm going to do is to say, and then there's a commercial break. Yeah, with that revelation that stuff's been happening, I'm going to suggest we're back again on the hour. That gives us 5 or 6 minutes. I will see you on the hour. So, something is amiss. A variety of stuff. Now, you know, I'll tell you now, Wulfwynn, that what comes from them as you sit there in the moonlight with the sound of the tide just moving in the estuary is all sorts of things, just, you know, tiny things, people losing things, people unable to, you know, they're getting lost when their mind wandered, you know, just stupid things. And yet people are talking to Sadhbh, the alewife, about these things, and she's sufficiently worried, and then this happens. Something's going on. I suppose that if you were looking for a pattern, you might conclude that this is the most serious thing. So this isn't about people dying in the night.
No.
Yet.
But it might be something or things using supernatural like effects to distract from what they are actually doing.
At which point I think Wulfwynn probably looks at Sadhbh. Supernatural stuff affecting people they can't even see. What's the plan then, colleagues? Are you gonna, you know, take this knowledge and sleep on it as dusk deepens? Or do you want to go somewhere or do something? Osbeorn, you're a person of action.
Yeah, we should check out these stones.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
Why not?
They're sitting up there in the middle of this ancient hill fort,
yeah,
casting weird shadows.
Exactly. They are I mean, there's something going on here. I think it's maybe. I'm not an expert, right? I'm not. Anyway, could be a curse or something. Maybe they did something to anger some spirit thing. I'm looking at Maerec again, like, but we should check it out. Like I should check it out. I don't know if you want to come. If you do, it's fine. I like company. And Miss Sigurborg, if I could bother you for another checker of your very lovely ale before we go up there, that would be a pleasure. And then we can go and yeah.
I think this conversation has probably gone on in around the back of Sigurborg's hut, where she brews her ale, and therefore there has been ale drunk, if you wanted it. But yeah, Osbeorn's very clear. Osbeorn's heading to the ancient hill fort to examine the standing stones.
Maerec will definitely go with her, and I think maybe suggests
him. Osbeorn is him.
With him, sorry, and suggests that Sadhbh join them, because perhaps if we want to consult the spirits or other things to see what might be going on, it might be more potent or whatnot at the stones.
So Sadhbh goes up to Maeric's face and runs her finger down his chin and says, I wish I had thought of that myself. I guess I should go. Lead the way.
Wulfwynn?
I say we need to stick together. We must stick together.
Okay. The route to the hill fort and the standing stones that sit at its center takes you up out of the village to a place where you begin to overlook the estuary below. And I mean, is this is just marching up there, Osbeorn? You know, just go there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course.
Okay.
Is there any unless somebody suggests anything more sneaky or something?
I just wanted to check because it sounded like Osbeorn,
Yeah,
man of
yeah,
action.
yeah.
Come on.
Did he get his tankard of ale?
Oh yeah, down the last of the ale, sets off out of the village, up
Okay.
the hill fort. You know, where there's a series of concentric kind of ditch and banks. So as you're taking the lead, Osbeorn, each time you approach, enter, or traverse this location, the hero taking the lead describes the approach they take. You've done that, and rolls with the attribute the Fates agrees is most appropriate. So I think that the is steel. You know, it's just boldly, briskly walking up the hill.
Boldly go where probably many people have gone before, but still. Let's call this. It's a 6 on the roll, plus 2 is an 8.
Okay, 7 to 9, choose one and accept the loss or consequence of whatever you don't choose. So you're going to choose one, right?
Yeah, but what move is it?
Oh, sorry, I'm on location moves. I beg your pardon.
Oh,
It would be much
okay.
easier if I told you that.
Okay.
Yeah?
You said something about location, but now I see it. Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
Choose one and accept the loss or the consequence of whatever you didn't choose. So I will describe a helpful opportunity and I will give you a choice. So the helpful opportunity is that this place is old and may contain something equally old. The thing that might offer a potential benefit now or later, if you value it enough, is that this is a defensive location, Osbeorn. You know, this would be a good place to defend if you needed to at some point. No reason to do it right now. And the other one is the risk. You describe how you avoid a risk, and the risk is that which remembers. So which of those do you want? Do you want to find something immediately helpful? Do you want something that offers a potential benefit? So are these defensible? Or do you want to avoid the risk?
I see now where you take these from. So
yeah,
I will take something equally old, the helpful opportunity, because we're nowhere near having to defend ourselves by now.
And as you're heading up the hill and down into a bank and up the hill and down into a bank, ditch and bank, something kind of catches your toe, Osbeorn. And there is the rusted hilt of a sword. The hilt is not as rusted, but the blade is long gone.
Yeah. See, that's what you get if you use sword. Rusts.
Particularly if you leave it buried in the ground.
Yeah, right. So, okay. I look at...
And the reason it is immediately helpful or useful is Maerec says, let me look at that. Maerec, it's a legionary short sword, or what's left of it. You remember it from back in the day.
I was actually gonna ask if I could look at it, so you took the words right out of my mouth. So
and I'll tell you that for nothing. It's of a model that was old in your time, but you still found them knocking about camps. Okay. Sadhbh. You have... Where have you gone? Yeah, you have a move called the Otherworld, don't you?
Yep.
When you remind us of a time your burden caused a problem and owe your gods a debt, they reveal the spirits that infest the scene. Those spirits tell you what they know, granting you advantage to look about you. Are you interested in activating
Yes, thank you for reminding me of that. I was thinking of that earlier before the break. So yeah, so I need to remind the time the burden caused a problem, and I roll before that or after that?
No, you tell me that, and then owe your gods a debt, and then you get to roll with advantage.
Ah, got it. Yeah. Time my burden caused a problem. Yes, so the last settlement that I was at before I met them, it was very obvious that to me that that there were some basic agricultural type, albeit as primitive as possibly I could have known of, but agricultural type improvements that could have been made to the local farmers' farms. And I went from one farm to the next advising them. And each time they turned me away, looking down on me, accusing me of being an ignorant witch. And I had to leave the town because my reputation was at that point so bad that nobody would do business with me.
We like that because you just know the right answer, don't you? And you know, these people, they just won't take good sense when it's offered.
Slipping right through their fingers.
They're just so stupid and ignorant.
Mm.
They called me an ignorant witch. So let's have you roll to look about you with advantage.
Alan, would he get additional advantage based on the fact that the location is advantage to commune with spirits?
No, that's the haunted standing stones, not the sinister hillfort.
Oh, we went to the hillfort, not the standing
The
stones.
stones are in the middle of the hillfort.
Why did I think? Sorry, I'll join the game now. Apologize. I thought we were at the stones.
We moved quickly. It's all right, Joe. So I need to take another debt to the old gods, right?
You do.
So okay, so now I'm rolling soul.
You're rolling all three of those dice. So if you click on them, they'll highlight, and then a little reroll will appear at the bottom of the screen.
And that red one is an additional die?
Yeah, you're going to roll all three and then take the
Yep.
best two.
Got it.
Just as well.
So 9.
So 9 plus sense to look about you.
Plus 1.
Makes it 10. So on a 10. So what I can tell you is that, I mean, what does it look like? Because we've not spent much from the special effects budget yet. What does it look like when the spirits of the other world talk to you, Sadhbh?
Yeah, so we're at the ancient hill fort.
Yeah,
and I've
in one of those ditches before another kind of mound to make your way up to the center of this.
Is there possibly some sort of structure like a house that a guard might have sat in, in this hill fort?
I'll go for that. I'll go for that.
Yeah. So
maybe
I think that,
a couple of broken, rotted posts that might have been supports for it. Yeah.
Right. And so she closes her eyes and she sees, well, actually, just to be even more specific. So at this point, she's give me one moment. I'm looking at the list of gods just because why not if it doesn't take too long. She's thinking about Sadhbh. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that name correctly.
Hard C usually, but Sadhbh.
Sadhbh, yes. And
who offers
in order
insight.
to talk in order to talk to Sadhbh, or to try to commune with Sadhbh, she's sitting down beneath the posts and putting her hands on the ground, and it sounds like humming and saying some sort of words, basically asking Sadhbh what was here before, bring it back to life in my mind. And
what's your reaction when hands reach out of the ground and grasp both your wrists?
yeah, I let them take me.
And they don't take you, they hold you in place as more of them
Yeah.
began to come out of the mounds. Now,
Yeah.
I'm very happy for this to have triggered something everyone can see, because what they will certainly see is 5, just appearing to be in some kind of trance-like state, with her hands fixed to the ground. But I think it would be quite cool if everyone saw the hands, to be honest. And while to Sadhbh they look like spirits, the hands of spirits, to the 3 of you, they look like skeletal hands. And out of the mounds, the mounds, ditch and mound, out of the wall of the mound, Maerec, you will recognize Roman legionaries clawing their way out of the soil. Osbeorn.
Hell, not again. I know I won't have someone I don't know, I heard, but I won't have someone under my protection taken by whatever this is, because I remember before I had to leave my hall, I remember the vampire's hand on my wife's throat. My wife smiled like she liked it, but that was wrong. That was so wrong. And this is wrong. And I will take up my great axe. I think I have one. And I will, carefully, no, not carefully. I'm not that careful, but I will try to cleave these skeletal hands from Sadhbh to.
And I think you just triggered not again, didn't you?
Yeah, I said
when
that,
you confront them with the intention of protecting someone, say how this reminds you of your own loss you have done, and owe your gods a debt, go ahead, and treat it as an automatic 10 plus on the move, confront them. So confront them is quite a complex move, so just bear with.
Okay.
You just need to read through it. So when you try to overcome someone or something's defense, so any opponent has a certain number of defenses. And I'm prepared to tell you, because I wrote it down, that these have a defense of experienced in war and shield and armor, albeit rusty and rotten and all the rest. Yeah. So you will have to overcome those defenses in order to humble them and put them back in the ground. Or protect Sadhbh, as it might be. Yeah,
that's what I'm going for.
Okay, so you're not exploiting a weakness. You don't know any weaknesses of these yet. On a 7 plus, the fate erases the defense you describe, and you describe what it looks like. So are we seeing you just laying into their shields and their other defensive features, or are you out fighting them?
I'm actually going for the hands, and I have to outfight them. I'm not interested in their defense. I will just.
Fine.
I mean, I was trained with this thing that I'm using. I have a shield myself, so.
So I am going to cross off experienced in war, as you are better at that than they are. And your foe chooses one. They inflict harm as established on you, whether or not you are protecting someone. Yes, I'm going to inflict harm as established, which is, I think, probably 1, given the quality of their weapons. So Mark, for you, I think it's your starting top left with reread.
Haha.
But
thank you.
Yeah. And then on a 10 plus, you also describe how you choose one. Now, sacrifice something with protection to block their attack or suffer no harm at all. Draw all danger or foes menacing someone or something else to you.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do, because I want to draw them away from Sadhbh.
And they ignore Sadhbh and instead focus on Osbeorn. Wulfwynn, you're seeing this going on. What are you doing, if anything?
Can I do my 10 to me move and sing a song and try and get their attention?
You certainly can try that. So attend to me. When you deliberately call for attention during a scene, remind us of a time when your performance led to trouble and roll plus subtle.
Okay. Yeah, I sung a bawdy song with suggestive lyrics, and the Christians, Puritans didn't like it and ran me out of town.
Lots of runnings out of town. Roll plus subtle.
Jolly good. 6, 8.
Okay, 7 plus, say who or what stops, watches, and listens for long enough to allow another hero to act, which causes the spell you have wrought to break.
Yeah, so the skeletons look at me because I'm talking about the Roman centurion Sanguinus the Swift, who kept running into battle and getting the shit kicked out of him.
And that allows a hero to do something. Maerec, you are not currently doing anything. Sadhbh is kind of popping back out of whatever trance she was in. What do you do, Maerec?
So for clarification, Osbeorn, I know their computer just popped or whatever, but they were intervening on the hands that were grabbing Sadhbh. But there are also legionnaires coming out, clawing their way out of the side of the hill. I'm going to move myself to be in between those things that are coming out of the hill and the rest of the. And are they yet at a point where they are, or are they still just kind of clawing? I don't know. Can I attack them, I guess, or are they still coming out of the hill?
Oh, they are clambering out, and some of them are coming out as bits of bodies. So you got hands clawing hand over hand. So now the other defense they have is numbers. But okay. Sadhbh, in that moment when they grabbed hold of you, and you heard in your head, not in a language that you speak, but with a meaning that you recognize coming from them. The ones that grabbed you shouted, "Rouse the cohort. We have another." And it was like they were reacting to you, not as an individual, but as a type. Okay. Maerec, there are plenty of them. They are currently focused. They are heading towards, they'd like to get to Sadhbh, but Osbeorn, who's disappeared. Osbeorn has put themselves between these skeletal remains and Sadhbh. So you have an option, Maerec, before anybody else does anything.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to just confront them, and I've got that move of the strength of 10 dead men. When you confront them physically, roll plus soul. So I think that he is just going to draw his sword and just wade right in there, and staying in between as best he can. I mean, he wants to protect, right? That's part of his revenants, I guess. So that's what he's going to do.
Fine. So let's have you roll with soul then. 2D plus soul, which is quite good for you, I think.
It is, and I kind of feel like I want to say something Motownish, but I'll just refrain from that. So
it's called breaking immersion.
So 13.
Oh, 13. Oh, wow. This rule set used to have a special 12 plus. Alas, it's long gone. So you confront them. So on a 10 plus basic move, confront them. I'm going to get rid of their numbers. You are wading through these piles of bones, or rendering them down into piles of bones, so that the ones that are left, the only defense they have left now is what amounts to the few that still have functioning shields or armor.
Okay.
So there's only one defense left for you to take out. You are going to take harm established. They're going to inflict harm as established on you, which I think, because they're outnumbering you now, are 2 harm. So start with wearied and then mark the one below it, which is a wounded. Yeah.
Yep.
On 10 plus, You also describe, and then there's a list of options. Deflect their attack and take 1 less harm. Force them to where you want them and gain advantage. They're already focused on Osbeorn, so I don't think the next one applies. Sacrifice something with protection to block their attack and suffer no harm at all. Sadly, they still have a defense.
So I think I'm going to force them to where I gain advantage.
Fine. So they are now at disadvantage. Sadhbh, you can now see both the spirit, the other world, and the real world. And you can see that where Maerec has waded through some of these, you can see the spirit is being dispersed back into the ether. For how long, who knows? And when the spirit goes, the bones collapse. Or is it when the bones collapse, the spirit depart? It's difficult to tell. Does the wind move the trees, or do the trees move the wind? But they are very focused on you still. If it wasn't for Osbeorn being between you and them, and there is Osbeorn, this could get difficult. Do you want to do anything, or do you just we'll wait for Sabine to drop back in. Welcome back, my friend, to the show that never ends.
Hello, sorry.
No, that's fine, not your fault. I blame the internet. So the situation is that Maerec has waded in against these skeletal remains. They are still focused on you, but they're focused on you in an effort to get to Sadhbh. And I've just come to Sadhbh saying that there is a connection between the skeletons and the spirits, and they are very focused on getting to her. So Sadhbh, with that in mind, what do you want to do? Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell you, Wulfwynn got their attention and bought time for Maerec to do something. So Sadhbh, what, if anything, do you want to do?
So just mechanically, so I can understand, they still have a defense?
They still have 1 defense left. The ones that are still standing are the ones whose armor is less rusty and whose shields are less rotten. And only once that defense is removed will it be possible to humble them, subdue them, overcome them.
Yes. So Sadhbh is technically grappled still.
No, because the Osbeorn's gained their attention. You are free.
Yeah, so Sadhbh is going to try to attack the remaining ones with her cudgel.
Laying about her with a cudgel. Fine. Let's have you roll to confront them with steel, I think.
Yeah. And is this technically, this is confront them. This is not face a challenge.
No,
right?
this is confront them. I suppose the question is whether Maerec is prepared to give you the advantage they created. Is that okay, Maerec, or do you want to keep it for yourself?
I can give it up. Yeah, sorry, I just popped in and out. That redundant internet I have, I just started using it.
Okay. So Sadhbh, they are assaulted from 2 sides. Osbeorn between you and them, Maerec from the other side. You have advantage if you want to use it for this confront them. So you're rolling 3 dice, taking the top 2 and adding steel to it. Well, it's not bad.
Yes. 8 minus 1, 7.
Oh, 7 plus. The Fates raises the defense. Well, there's only 1 defense left, which is the armor that some of them have. Presumably, you came at them from the side. And your foe chooses 1. I am going to inflict 1 harm because they do not like you, Sadhbh. They are they want you dead. And as one of them said, it's still there. I can still see her. On, cohort, on. Take 1 harm. So mark wearied. Or have you already marked 1? I can't remember. You're working down that first column.
Wounded. Wounded.
Blood is drawn. But that is all of their defenses destroyed. Now, if you'd have a 10 plus, you could immediately move to humble them. But I think it's only proper that as our most militant hero, Osbeorn should now be able to humble them.
And they are not yet at my mercy, right?
They are not. You are going to try to put them at your mercy.
Yeah, I roll with advantage then because I marked a marked condition for confronting them.
Fine.
Because is that their best? I mean, what are they? Are they supposed to be anything? I heard the Romans were good soldiers, but
I mean, it
Just
doesn't help
doesn't
being
seem to-
300 years in the ground.
Jeff doesn't seem to agree with them. I will have to reload my roll with me thingy because I got kicked out as well there. Go away. And I'm rolling with advantage. Come on. And steal. Select the dice. That's a 9, that's an 11.
So on a 7+, describe how you humble them. They are at your mercy. Do they receive it or do you end them?
I think,
And there are consequences.
They
If
are,
you spare the life of a supernatural, they owe you a debt. If you spare, so they are not mortals, they're supernaturals. And then there's a 10+ as well. So
I wonder if we could learn something from them, but really, I mean,
once they're in your debt,
yeah, right. Okay, so I think what happens there is there's just the one skeleton left and it has this helmet with this weird kind of plume. There's no plume in it, but there's this little thing where you could put a plume in it. And you can see that he was someone at some time. And I think I will cleave his shield with my axe and then kind of a little contemptuously better by a sword aside, and I will then look at him and say, "Listen, fellow, you're not a vampire. I don't need to destroy you, but you know what? You attacked us. I'm not too happy with that. So if you answer a few of our questions, though, I'll let you go on rotting in the ground. You seem to be doing pretty well at that, at least."
and so he owes you a debt. But on a 10+, the fates will say what they give you out of gratitude or what you can take from them or their earthly remains. So I'm going to put this to your side, to you really, a weapon or shield, a charm or, I mean, they're not in very good conditions, a charm or trophy, or insight or an answer. Oh, you are muted.
I'll mute myself and I will go for the answer.
The jaw doesn't move. The eye sockets don't focus. And yet you know that you have this creature's attention. And in your head, in a language you don't understand, but with a meaning you do, he tells you, we'll scratch the debt, he tells you that, and the skeletal hand points at Sadhbh. Her kind haunt this place, and we are bound to confront them.
Okay. Well, you have confronted, you have not persevered. Please go.
You are an honorable opponent, and we will not interfere unless she acts in a way that provokes us.
Okay. You seem an honorable man despite your less than ideal state of being. So I
am
hope.
Gallius Arsenius Cordo.
Yes.
And I will continue to serve.
That is an honorable thing, my friend. But now it is time for you to go back to sleep. We have the situation well at hand.
And the bones lie back on the bank. And you will notice all of the skeletal remains sink into the soil,
Great.
leaving freshly turned earth where they lay. Wulfwynn, what are you making of all of this?
She breathes a sigh of relief because several versions of the dream we didn't get past this bit. So, you know, it's like, oh, phew, we made it past the first chapter. Just sort of relaxing and making sure. Actually, Thingy's wounded. Someone's wounded. There's a few people wounded. I'm going to tell a story about the falling of this fort, where there's like waves of attackers, and use my heroes in battles move.
Fine, you do that thing. Roll plus sense. Who are you treating?
I don't know, probably C first.
See, Sadhbh, yeah.
Yeah, I think Maerec can probably deal with it himself.
7,
Oh, wow.
8. So, clear dying or raise one condition. I don't think they've got a condition, do they?
No, sorry. Yeah, I keep meaning to change the name on that. So one of those tick boxes is removed. So you are no longer wounded, Sadhbh.
Can I keep it going or not?
No, that's your lot. You can
Okay,
you can do it again on a different. You know, you can treat somebody else, but that's your treatment.
Okay.
But I do want to ask Maerec whether you want to engage with already dead. Or do you want to wait until because it's a once a session?
Yeah, I think I'll wait.
Just in case. Okay.
Yep.
So as per Cordo's guidance, you are not interfered with as you make your way towards the center. There's a low plateau of sorts at the top in which the standing stones surround. Chris, sorry, Sadhbh.
Yeah, is assert your free will, is that something that we can use in this kind of scenario, or is it only during like a NPC type situation?
No, you can use it whenever you like. So you can assert your free will to erase a debt to your gods. And I think you only get to do that once. You've only got room for one temptation. The others have room for two, and but you can choose whichever one you like.
Is that once per campaign or session, or?
No, whenever you choose.
Right. So is there a way?
Once you've filled the slot, it stays filled until you seek solace in friendship.
Seek solace in friendship. And
which you'll find over there below assert your free will in the basic moves tab.
When you share your woes with another hero, you can put a temptation. Okay. So if it's okay with Blake and Wulfwynn, in response to being healed, I'm not sure what the healing process looks like. Could you?
Well, probably bandaging and yeah. I'm telling a tale while I'm bandaging you to try and distract you from, you know, it's going to hurt a bit.
Yes. So, so Sadhbh is going to flirt with Wulfwynn.
Oh, nice. Cool.
So temptation of lust.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
The temptation of lust.
Hit the drop down, make the selection, and then that will give you -2 to look about you, but plus.
If you're okay with that,
yeah,
if you're okay with that.
Fine.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry,
it's a nice surprise.
Yep.
Flirtation over wounds. Because Sadhbh knows she's good at this. Just saying.
And so, I mean, for what it's worth, Sadhbh is feeling a little bit vulnerable here that somebody else is taking care of her, and so she feels like she needs to get a little bit of an edge over this person.
Wow, Sadhbh is such a calculating bitch.
Yeah, Wulfwynn's happy someone's being nice to her that isn't, you know, a drunken idiot at the tavern or whatever. So,
Yeah,
and it takes her mind off the nightmares that are in this spot.
fine, fine. So yeah, you have a clear run to the standing stones.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious whether Osbeorn is still taking the lead.
Nobody else wants the lead. He will stride on. He assumes that everybody is okay with that.
Anyone want to object, or is everyone content? Osbeorn striding on.
Well, Osbeorn, have you shared what you learned from the Romans?
Yes,
I mean,
definitely.
The only the only consideration is, do you consider the what you heard to be that my people are at the standing stones?
I think it's kind of more like your kind. I don't know if so I mean, you seem to be a bit mystical, like, or am I wrong there? If I so, I apologize, of course, but you seem a bit mystical.
So I was going to step back and say, yes, you're right.
See, it's probably the mystical people that they don't hold with. I don't know anything about the Romans except that they were supposed to be great soldiers. Maybe if they had more flesh on their bones, they would have been.
So yeah, thank you for leading the way.
So Osbeorn leads the way over the final bank to this large plateau around which are located these standing stones. And of course, to the objective observer, everyone is wondering, how could the shadows of these possibly have been reached the doors of the hall? And yet they did. Each time you approach, enter, or traverse this location, Osbeorn, I think boldly going is roll plus steal.
Oh, me again. Okay.
Yeah, well, you took the lead.
Oh yeah, okay.
You know,
I didn't know that it would trigger the move again, but I will roll 2 dice, and it's an 11.
Okay, on 10 plus, this is the same basic kind of location move. The hero taking the lead describes the approach. You did so. Rolls with the attribute, have done. 10 plus, choose 2 and accept the loss of or consequence of whatever you didn't choose.
Now I know how this works. Standing stone, something potent, ancient knowledge. Ooh.
Or do you want to avoid a dangerous power?
I mean, what do you guys think as play? I would ask you as players what you think, because I would avoiding a dangerous power seems like not very useful, but could be fun to actually avoid whatever the dangerous power is.
Let me be clear, if you don't select how you avoid the risk associated with it, that risk will manifest.
Yes, I think I got that. So what do we think? Do we want a dangerous thingy to not be avoided, or?
I mean, in the spirit of pacing, we could say we just fought something, so now we should avoid it. That could be one idea.
Okay, I think I hear you, and I think what we won't have is the help for opportunity this time, because we had that the last time. So we will find ancient knowledge, and we will avoid a dangerous power, because maybe we were warned actually by the.
That's certainly the impression that Cordo would have wanted. Well, maybe not to warn you, but to warn you, an honorable foe, that she is like them. And I think that as the shadows begin to move and swirl and take on a form, we'll break. Because that would seem to me to be the logical place to pick up next time. Yeah. Okay, so I'd like to do a quick stars and wishes, if that's okay. Just anything that you want to pick out that's a star that you'd like to give a star to somebody, or something, or any wishes for next time, wishes of what you like or what you would like less of, or whatever. So I don't think I've started with you, Blake. So go ahead, Blake. Any stars?
Yeah, I like all the characters. I've got a clear sort of idea of who they are and what they do in that. Chris is nailing the pagan mystic, I thought. That's, yeah, spot on. Really, really well done. Yeah, it's all good. I'm curious to see how much deep shit we can dig ourselves into.
So wish, deep shit. Okay.
Yeah, more of it. Yep, more of this. It's good.
Okay. Chris, any stars, any wishes?
Yeah, I hate to be so generic at this point, but the three of you, yeah, it's just been really fun role playing with you. I think you're all nailing it. I think in terms of and Alan, it sounds like you've run this a number of times. It's your baby, but you are jumping from one place to another with fluency. It's really fun to get to pick up. I like the system. Wishes, I would say. I am a little bit curious to see Wulfwynn shine a bit more. Like, if you can think of a hook or something, you probably have already thought of that. That's just one thought.
Yeah, no, I agree. It would be far too simple if whatever you find at the top of the ancient hill fort among the standing stones solved the problem. So Wulfwynn is going to have to put that subtle to use, I think. Let me go next to Sabine. Any stars, any wishes?
Yeah, stars all around. That was a really fun session. I like all these characters. A special star to some people I have not played with yet, like Chris and Joe. That was fun. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being such fantastic players. Stars to Alan for writing this system and continuing to improve it. I really love the location things and the settlement stuff because I haven't seen that before. And as for wishes, I wish I had read the location move when I barged in the second time, because I didn't mean to take that opportunity from somebody else. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, it works perfectly with character. And finally, Joe, any stars, any wishes?
No, just the general, like, again, at this point, it was a great session. Good to meet and play with you, Sabine. And Alan, as always, it's a joy and everything. And I'm especially enjoying, because I played the Pagan Mystic the last time we played in a very, very different way. I was a lustful old man, and so that was it's just fun when you see things played the different way, right? And my wish is just kind of more, right? Just more shenanigans and whatnot. So.
Right. Okay. Yeah, my stars. Yeah, I love the idea of Wulfwynn. Away, skeletons, attend to me. That's delightful. Chris, lovely to be playing with you for the first time. Really enjoying it. A great character in Sadhbh, enjoying that. Sabine, always a pleasure. And Osbeorn, different kind of character for you, I think. The more kind of, show me a skeleton, I hit it. As long as
that's normally me and Will doing that stuff.
Exactly,
so it's nice for someone
yeah,
to
but
be
Will
the hammer.
isn't here, so I get to do that.
Yeah, and so you should. So that's been good fun. And Joe, always a pleasure. And the Revenant. I don't think we've had a Revenant for some time, and I'm quite enjoying this kind of this dark, satanic individual in the shadows when they're not avoiding him. So hopefully, Joe, we will see you next time. If not, don't worry about it. I'll stop recording. Here we go.